Hey everybody, welcome back to Andsoph podcast. We are back, we are alive, we are thriving. If you're watching this, we have made it to spring, which we really did that, y'all. We survived. We made it up to this point. Thank you so much for tuning into Andsoph podcast this week. This is season 2, episode 4. I am your host, Sophie Wade, and this is my podcast for ordinary people with extraordinary impacts. And today we are having another solo episode. Me and you catching up. Let's do it. And I'm so excited to be talking with you guys today about some things that I feel like have been reoccurring things that I've been talking about with a lot of people that I think will make a lot of people feel way less alone. And that is post-grad. And honestly, even if you didn't go to school or graduate, I feel like you can still relate to this sense of feeling lost, or people can relate to that feeling of feeling lost in this period of our 20s, where there's some people who are getting their big girl jobs. Yes, yes. Some people are getting married. Some people are even having children. I love that. Some people are starting businesses. Some people are moving. Everybody's doing all these things. Some people are still living with their parents. Some people are still looking for a place to live. Some people are still looking for their next job. There's a lot of expectations on us, but then at the same time, people will still say that we're young and we have time to figure it out. I'm like, which one is it? So that's what we're gonna be talking about today, y'all. Embracing the journey and being able to empower each other where we're at. And I hope you just feel a sense of feeling less alone. We're gonna talk about how I've been able to navigate those feelings of post grad and just trying to be content with where I am in my career, where I am in my relationships, where I am in my singlehood, where I am financially, and still having that motivation to keep going and dreaming big. So before we begin, let's just catch up on what life has been like since I last caught up with you guys, which I feel like that was a very deep catch up. You know, we talked about the LA wildfires. We talked about a lot going on, like just around the world, the presidency. There's always so much to talk about regarding those things. And I will keep talking about it. Don't you worry. Let's get into what life has been like. I don't know how I was doing it before. Couldn't tell you. I was out here getting tattoos all the time. I was out here just driving anywhere, you name it. I was going there. I was down for every event. I was going to concerts all the time. Y'all, school is different. And now I'm just like, how am I gonna survive? So life has changed just a little bit. I'm young. I'm never gonna be in this exact same place again where I'm young in this stage of my life. No kids. Hey, I'm going outside. I don't know about you, but I'm going outside. I live in LA. I should be taking advantage. I really don't like go actually to places like Hollywood, but when I do, I like to look for like fun events that like actually sound like things that I would want to go to. And I was trying to think like, what are things I like? And I really love listening to live music and I love concerts. But I was like, do I want to spend $300 right now on a concert? Nor thank you. There gotta be some type of something where I don't have to pay my life savings, but I can still enjoy a good concert and it can be a little fun moment for my mental health. I was looking up fun and free events and I came across this opportunity to be a seat filler, which I've never done that in my life, you guys. And it was like in the audience for the iHeart Radio Music Awards. I was so excited, but I decided to do this side mission by myself. Life is short. Like if you really want to do something, like go to the beach or like go to a concert or like go do this type of class, just do it. I usually like stick to the people I know when I go to new places, but this time I didn't know anybody going there. Even my brother was just like, "You're going by yourself?" And I was like, "Yeah." Is that bad? Like, is it bad? Is it bad? But y'all, ended up being so fun. I made friends with the people in line. She was social, yo. I arrived, it was at the Dolby Theater. I thought it was gonna give District 12 vibes just a little bit. We were all dressed up, like we looked the part, we looked like we were finna blend in that room. And they were like, y'all, make sure you act demure. Like, don't be going up to anybody and being like, hi. Like, they basically were like, don't speak to the other talent or celebrities unless spoken to. So I was like, okay, District 12. You know what? Actually ended up being really chill. I was like right behind Glorilla and I was like, sure, like it's gonna be a time. And then they immediately moved me. I was like, oh, I'll catch you later, girl. I'll catch you later. I ended up moving to like the third row on the other side of the room, which was still pretty close. And so I had a really great view of Billie Eilish. One thing about me is I'm gonna find myself in the same room as that girl. 2 of those times were live concerts. One of the times was that listening party I got to. Also free. I'm telling you guys, there's stuff y'all don't even know. I saw her at the movie theaters in my hometown with her friends, but it was like, I didn't want to be like a burden. So I was like, hey, let her live a normal life. Then I saw her at this award show. She gave us a performance. I was trying to cry, but I don't think that was very demure. Like, I don't know if that was part of the rules or not. They had Mariah Carey accepting an award and Lady Gaga. So that was cool to see them. I feel like they have just been making music and making impact for so long. Just to see other artists that I always love listening to that are such an inspiration. Like Doechii, I could have a whole podcast about that girl. Like hearing her story from her getting fired to her winning a Grammy is so insane. And of course our girl SZA, she was like, I didn't even recognize her when she first came in. Like I was sitting on the outskirts of the row, third row facing the front, and there was a break. And I just saw this girl like rush by with like a team of people. Like I didn't see her face and I was like, homegirl was right here. It's so funny that I find myself in these situations and I just have to act demure. It's great to humanize these people. Like when it won't give District 12 if you really humanize these people. They really like us. Like we had the same Monday night plans. Show up to this theater, show up looking nice, be present, sit in the chairs, clap, cackle, laugh, live, laugh, love. We all had the same plans. I didn't have a glam team. I didn't have a personal photographer. I didn't have like a designer outfit, but we're basically the same. Like, yeah, it was so fun. And Bad Bunny Bonito, I was like, and Glorilla too. And I really hope the camera went on me during those because I was giving everything I could. I was giving energy. I was giving faces. I was giving choreography. They better have put me on camera. I'm going to look through the footage. It took me 30 minutes to find my car. I almost had a breakdown because I was just wandering this Hollywood parking lot for so long. And then I finally found it. I was like, thank God, like I don't have to live in this parking lot. I thought I was gonna have to sleep in the parking lot at that point. I did not pay a cent to experience all these concerts that I experienced in this night. That was one of my post-grad Hope Corps experiences. And I was just like, one day, one of these people in this room, like they're gonna be sitting next to me, period. Call me delusional. Even if it's in 5 years, like one of y'all is sitting in the chair. Now let's get into what the post-grad experience has been overall. We've talked about post-grad a little bit on here. One of the biggest things that I feel like has caused insecurity for me in my post-grad journey of adulthood has been comparison. And I don't know if y'all have heard that saying. You probably have. Comparison is the thief of joy. And that is so true. It is so hard not to compare your path with somebody else's, especially if you see it. A lot of people have maybe similar paths or they seem like really, really ahead of you. I think that it's really hard to unlearn that you're behind. Because it's like, who are we like using as the blueprint of like, they are exactly how life needs to go? Like, who was decided to be as the universal blueprint? I think that I've felt like this pressure to have it all figured out because I feel like it feels nice to just tell people like, oh yeah, I'm doing this, or I have this, or I just started this. It feels really great and it feels really validating. For my Christian audience watching, Jesus did not start his ministry until he was 30 years old. 30. I'm 23, okay? 23. And God felt he was ready at 30. Let me just let you sit with that. Oprah? We know Oprah. Hey, hey, hey. She was fired at 23. I am 23. And she didn't get her career break until she was 32. It's crazy the expectations we put on ourselves at such a young age. Who knows what life will look like in the next 10 years if I keep pushing, stay resilient, continue having conversations, and keep my passions and my purpose in front of me. One of the biggest lessons I've had to learn is that my life isn't a checklist. You were praying for something in your life at one point that you're experiencing right now. Even if we don't have everything figured out, because no one does. So I guess good questions for us to reflect on is what we define as success and not maybe what our families define as success or what our friends define as success or the world defines as success or our field defines as success, but what do we personally define as success in this short life that we live, and what actually leaves us feeling fulfilled at the end of the day. Your productivity doesn't determine your worth. It doesn't have to be tied to your worth. How much you're doing doesn't mean you're so much better than that other person. Or if you're resting more in this season, that doesn't mean that you suck and you're useless and you don't have purpose. Like, rest is a great thing and successful people need rest too. I feel like it is so hard to be okay with just being able to be redirected to something that is not what you thought or envisioned at first, and being rejected from the things that you really want. Like, I think with jobs, that is like a really big thing where you're applying, mass applying, sending out hundreds of applications, the cover letters, you're putting in the information manually, all of that stuff. And then you get that generic email just like, we're so sorry. That does something. That does something, you guys. Please take care of yourself and please have grace on those who are trying to figure it out with their job. The job market is really bad. Like, let's just like remind ourselves of that. The job market is really bad. Like, you could be so talented, so gifted, have all of the things on paper and more, and you can still get rejected. So many things could contribute to you not getting that job. I think that I really struggle with perfectionism and having really high standards for myself, like just wanting to make people proud and happy and just feeling like I'm disappointing them because of stuff outside of my control. And like prioritizing what they think of me over what I think of me. It's great to take advice, great to have support, talk to people who you can relate with, and people who are in the spaces you want to be in. 100%. But if people are giving you their opinion, which a lot of the time they will, their unsolicited advice for how you should be running your life, then, just remember that you don't need to prioritize their opinions over your own because this is your life. Take charge of it. When I discovered what my goals were and like how I was like, I want to start this podcast, I want to like do this or I want to do that. Like, how much does this equipment cost? What does that look like to set up a podcast? Like, how am I going to format these episodes? How am I going to get these guests together? How am I going to coordinate that? Like, what equipment do I need? What will I be editing on? How do I edit a podcast? I don't know. But if I was like too scared and I was like, I didn't get my major in podcastography, so that's not a thing. But I'm just not going to be able to do this. No one's going to take me seriously. Everyone's going to make fun of me. Then I just would have delayed a very important part of my life. I'm going to create things because I want to create them for fun. There has been so many amazing opportunities, I feel like, to intentionally rest after feeling the pressure for so many years back to back to achieve the next goal. Being intentionally restful can be really uncomfortable. Like, for me, it's really uncomfortable sometimes to not have something all day, every day. When I was so used to it for so long, you will sometimes start to feel that impacts your mental health as well. And I think it's really important to be aware of that and to talk to somebody about that if that is starting to affect you, because it started affecting me. And I was like, who am I? Like, I feel like I'm not the same girl that I was when I graduated. Like, what happened to her? Honestly, I put a bunch of stuff on my vision board And one of the things was Europe. When I first graduated, I was like, that would be so cool to do. But I was like, I don't have the money to do that. And God came through when I graduated. And so I feel like there's so, like, we don't even know what's possible during this time. The beautiful friendships created, the confidence we grow in ourselves, the way we become more self-aware of things, and the new hobbies or interests that we have, or maybe we realize that what we've been working for our whole life is not what we want to do anymore, or maybe it's not meant for us, and that was just for a season, and now we're meant to move on to something new. Like, exciting, scary, but exciting. You never know. And you never have to tie yourself down to something just because it was your major. You know, listen to your spirit if you're not feeling it anymore, if you're feeling something else. And lastly, one thing that I love to do is just celebrate the small wins, because I feel like there is small wins that we experience, like, and I think that those deserve to be celebrated as well. If you even get an interview for a big company, but it doesn't lead to a job, celebrate the fact that you got an interview and that you could practice your interview skills. Like, and that now that you've practiced that, you can continue to get better and better, and then all you need is one yes. All you need is one yes. I'd be forgetting the stuff that I did in the past because I'm so focused on right now that I'm like forgetting like the fun experiences I had at school and the films I was able to create and like the internships that I had that were so much fun. I'm just so focused on like the job, the big girl job right now that I don't have, that I feel like is tied to everything. Like, I think for me, one small win that I didn't realize was actually a big deal at the time, because I was so focused on the outcome and how it looked to other people. I had networked because my mom had met this man at her job that worked at Warner Brothers as an editor for the show All American, which is one of my favorite shows that I've been watching for a long time. And she had given him my contact information because she found out that he worked at Warner Brothers. And then I was able to contact him and just be like, hey, I know you've never met me in my life, but I would love to hear like any of your advice. And I had a phone call with him. He was really chill and just was able to give me a lot of great, empowering advice. And he listened and he didn't judge. After that, this man, I remember one day he was just like, oh, like if you want to visit the lot, like just let me know when you're available and I can get you in. And I was just like, oh, like period, yes, please. I never like went in there like as somebody who was like going with somebody who worked there. And so I was like, I just thought I was never gonna see the light in the Warner Brothers lot. And I was able to just walk with this man and go to the set of All American of this show that I love to watch. And I watched a scene happen and I was just like an NPC in the corner, just like while they were filming, and I got to see how everything works and like meet the writer and the director, who are also really nice and young, which gave me some hope. It was super fun, and I got to see like the production office and the post-production offices where they had all the editors and stuff like that. And he showed me like the timeline of an episode that he was currently editing and like an effect he had to use. Like, it was such an immersive experience. I met a lot of great people and they were all really nice, and they weren't like, so like how many PA jobs have you done? How many? You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that. Like, they were just like intrigued by who I was now. And they were just like, oh, like what college did you go to? And then I told them I graduated and they were like, congratulations. And sometimes I forget that like that was an accomplishment too. Getting the degree itself was hard. I went through trials and tribulations to get that piece of paper. I went through trials and tribulations. And sometimes I was like, oh, I need to remind myself of that. Like, I graduated college. Like, let's not forget her. I was a first gen college graduate. But I'm over here all worried about the big girl job that I just like completely disregard that sometimes. That's insane. We need to hear that. Someone just be like, congrats. Like, congrats you graduated, or like, congrats on this new song you made. On this new dance you made. I don't know, like just someone to tell you like, congrats on what you already did or what you're doing right now, that maybe people just stop saying congratulations for. Like, I think after a certain point, I just stopped hearing congrats about graduating. And I was like, all right. And it turned into questions about like, well, what are you doing now? You know? And I was like, you know, I'm here. Congrats on completing high school. Congrats on completing that course that you completed. Congrats on taking that class. Congrats on teaching yourself how to do this. Congrats on creating your first this. Come on, let's hype each other up. It was such a fun experience that I'm so grateful for. And it didn't end with them being like, well, we got room for one more. Like, come on to the All-American team. That would have been so fun. You know, if somebody just like all of a sudden just couldn't work that day, you know? Even though that didn't happen, like I still had such a great experience. And that was honestly something that gave me just a little push, put a little sparkle in my eye again. Just a little push that I needed. And I feel like I have felt so drained from the job application process and trying to get jobs at all these big places and getting rejected or like applying for every job known to man, still not getting it. Like, it's the way Trader Joe's will reject you. I'm not speaking that over your life, but like, there's probably people who have worked at Trader Joe's. I'm happy for you, but like, the pain of getting rejected from Trader Joe's changes you as a person. So this gave me sparkle in my eye. I think that it's really important to celebrate our progress, even when it feels slow, because I feel like there's no timeline, like I was saying, that we exactly have to follow. And I think that it's important to be able to celebrate that, to keep our confidence going and build our confidence. Because if we lose our confidence, we will give up and we will stay in a state of feeling paralyzed in fear or failure. And that's not going to get us to where we are meant to be, you know? And at one point, if we look back in our lives, we were completely different people doing completely different things. And so it's possible to be in a different stage of life, doing better. But it also depends on how we look at this time of our lives, the narrative we're telling ourselves, and what we're doing in the meantime. I think that it's still great to strive for those big wins that we have in our hearts. If we have really big goals, I think that's great too. Keep dreaming big, like keep that Pinterest board going. I have like a whole like Pinterest board, just of like all of the things that I hope to do or experience, or just like general emotions I just hope to experience again like this year. And I like will write in my notes app like the month and like go through the little Pinterest board, the little pics, and just be like, wow, like I can't believe that happened, or like I'm so grateful that this happened, or whatever. I think that it's totally possible to have those bigger goals and still strive for them while at the same time appreciating where you are right now and being present in it as well, because we're never going to get this time back of us being this exact age in this exact place. I want to acknowledge also that there's a lot of really difficult parts of like being present in right now, especially if you're really struggling in certain areas, where it's just harder to trust. Like, I feel like it's been so hard to trust in certain areas that I'm trying not to compare in, like career. And I can feel like really discouraged, financially as well. Like if I'm not like not living with, if I'm still living with at home, it's just like, my God, that's hard to move, go from being independent to living back at home. I think that mentally it's really challenging too. I recently found out that I have moderate depression. And so I was like, you know, it's getting a little bit hard out here. So now I'm like becoming so much more aware of like how all this is impacting me. And I feel like even trying to be present in singleness, that takes work. That takes work to really come to a place of feeling content. And I feel like honestly, it's up and down for me. Like it's getting better each year, but it'd be up and down. Like some days I'd be like, bruh, like, are you serious? Are you serious? But then other times I'm just like, thank God I'm free. But like, I'm only thinking about like marriage. Let's just start with like, how do you like make eye contact? Like, I can't even hold eye contact sometimes with somebody. Straight men sometimes scare me, even though I love them. Sometimes they scare me. Sometimes you just simply desire a relationship, which is human. And it's hard not to compare that to other people who are experiencing that or have more experience in that than you. But I think, like, in that case, too, being present of like, what do my friendships look like right now? Like, are they in a good place of foundations that to have good friendships in general, like learning how to like be able to talk to people, intentionally get to know people, spend time with people, work through conflict with people. Like, how are we doing with that in general? We can be so caught up, I think, in what's next, that we forget to be present in right now, where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm free. I ain't got no, and no, ain't got me. Like, and sometimes I don't always feel like that, okay? Sometimes I like, am like, turn the Gracie Abrams on, turn the Billie Eilish on, turn it up. But you know what? I need to embrace where I am right now. Life is short. Life is short. And so I just want to remind you guys that you are exactly where you're supposed to be and you are worthy of amazing things. So that brings us to the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening, you guys. I hope you were able to learn something new or just feel inspired or be able to get a new perspective about people going through this stage of life. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, whether you were listening or you were watching. I'm so grateful. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you are subscribed if you aren't already, and there's a little notification bell, so it'll tell you every time a new episode comes out, so you can be on top of it, because sometimes I won't post about it until like hours after it's out, so that way you can just know when it's out already. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure that you follow those pages and rate them as well, and let me know what you think. I love that there's an option to watch or listen. Like, if you are feeling like just being on FaceTime, pop that YouTube video out. But if you are in a rush and you were like, I gotta go to work, I gotta work out, I gotta walk around, take a walk, you could just put those headphones in and put that podcast on. And Andsoph also has Instagram, so make sure that you follow, because I'll be posting way more content on there where you can just get behind the scenes and hear different perspectives, be a part of the conversation. And Andsoph is also on TikTok as well. I just really be posting things that I would send my friends on there. It's a time. Like, I made a TikTok and I was like, there was this sound that's probably definitely not trending anymore, but that Glorilla song, they say shoot a shoot. Duke Dennis, what's up with you? I posted that like to like convince Duke Dennis to get on my podcast. I felt instantly embarrassed and took it down because I was like, Duke Dennis didn't see this. My friend saw this. It's coming down. She's honest and she's real. Andsoph on TikTok and Andsoph Pod on Instagram. We also have a guest form. This is probably the last episode that I'm gonna really talk about that, because after this, I think there will be more than enough people lined up to be on the podcast, but I really want to be able to include people that actually really do want to be on the podcast and have something to share that's been on their heart and they feel inspired. And so the form is just to be able to see like how we can make it work into a podcast and just kind of figure out more like how it could align with everything with Andsoph. And so I will be putting a link down below for that, so feel free to fill it out if you would like to be on season 2 or future episodes. It's been great to see the people that have been on here so far and to plan with the people who are going to be on here. It's going to be super exciting for y'all to see, so make sure you fill that out or share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching and listening. I had so much fun with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and week. This was Sophie Wade, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.